In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I create my vinyl t-shirts with my Cricut. For my tools, I use the weeding tool and I use a pair of Fisker scissors. Honestly, it doesn't matter which type of scissors you use, it's just a preference. And then I have two other options if you don't want to use scissors. You can use a craft knife or a rotary cutter. And these two other options are optional. Pro Light or quick press vinyl from Jonas. Parchment paper, we're going to be using this for when we press the shirt. A Cricut Explore Air, doesn't matter whether it's the first version or the second version. Either one will do. First, I'm going to start with opening the Cricut Design software. Once it's open, go ahead and select the new project. Now, if you're new to Cricut Design, they do have a template tab where they have basically preset design sizes for different things. Examples such as apron, t-shirts, baby bibs, belts, you name it, they have it. But I prefer to make my own custom sizes when it comes to my designs. Now it's time to upload our design to Cricut. Click the Upload Image button. There are two different ways you can upload your design to Cricut. You can either drag and drop it to Cricut, or you can press the Browse button and go through your files and find it. Once you have your image uploaded, Cricut is going to bring you to the Select Image Type. I always choose the complex choice to make sure that the Cricut cuts all the fine details within my design. Click Continue. You can use this part to click on the areas of the image that you may want to remove. However, my image is already a PNG file with a transparent background, so I do not need to edit it in any way. So I'm going to go ahead and press Continue. Since I want to cut this for my t-shirt, I am going to select Save as a Cut Image. Now for the Save as a Print Then Cut Image, that's more so for stickers. We don't want that. We want to do this for a t-shirt. If you like to name your design a different name, then go ahead and do so now before we press Save. Once we are done with that, go ahead and click the image that you would like to cut for your t-shirt. Select Insert Images. Now it is time to resize the design. Everybody has their own preference when it comes to this. It depends on how small or how big you would personally like your design to be on your t-shirt. For me, I choose either between 10 to 10.5 inches for my t-shirts. Now I am going to change it to the color that I would like for the design to be on the t-shirt. This step is not mandatory, however, it does help when your workflow is very large and you have several different colors that you need to cut out. So I pair each design with its respective color. Now I'm ready to cut, so I'm going to click the button that says Make It in the right corner. For this section, you want to make sure you have the right size mat in the material size. It's either 12 by 12. There's other measurements, but I either use 12 by 12 or 12 by 24. And then after that, you want to make sure your image is mirrored. Now click Continue. At this point, your Cricut Explore Air should already be turned on, and you're going to see that in the Connect machine. And then you also want to make sure your base material set is set at vinyl. So on your dial, make sure it's switched over to vinyl. And then it's going to go down to Load Tools and Material. So go ahead and load your mat. Really quick, I just wanted to state that there are two sides to your vinyl when you roll it out. There is a shiny side and there is a matte side. So when you have your matte, there's a sticky side of your matte. You want to make sure you put the shiny side face down onto the sticky part of your mat, your cutting mat. And have the matte side facing upward. Now before I take the protective sheet off my cutting mat, I like to go ahead and measure the amount of vinyl that I need for the t-shirt. So that's what we're going to do right now. Now when I cut my vinyl, I like to use a pen to make sure my cuts are as straight as possible. And there are other options, as I have said before. You can use a rotary cutter, a pair of scissors, or a craft knife if you like. No, the pen marks are not required. You can go ahead and freehand it if you want to. Remember, shiny side face down on the cutting mat and matte side facing up. Now load your mat onto your Cricut. When you're ready to load your mat, go ahead and press the double arrow button. And then when you're ready to start cutting, go ahead and press the Cricut logo button. Once your Cricut is done cutting, go ahead and press the double arrow button to unload your cutting mat. If you like to save all of the presets you have done to your design up to this point, you can go ahead and click save at the top and then rename your project whatever you like for it to be named. Press save, and at this point you can now exit your Cricut design and then press quit. Now before I begin to weed my vinyl, I like to go ahead and turn on the heat press. The temperature that I set my heat press at is 325. Different vinyl may vary, so go ahead and check your manufacturer's instructions before setting your temperature. For my t-shirts, I like to use a medium pressure. Now I have recommended parchment paper in the beginning because that is what I use in the beginning to press my shirts to cover the design and protect the design. However, now I have moved on to using Teflon sheets on my heat press, and what I do to hold them is using little circular magnets, and I just put them on the side of the heat press and I just leave it there for the entire time of pressing my shirts, and it's completely fine. All right, now it's time for weeding. Now I use a mat to protect my wood workbench just so it doesn't get torn up from the weeding tool, because the weeding tool is a little on the sharp side and it can scrape the material of whatever you're weeding on. So I would definitely find a mat to keep your surfaces in good condition. So when I am weeding my vinyl, I like to use a bright lamp so that way I can see all of the designs, the parts that I need to weed and the parts that I don't need to weed. And I like to use a lamp that I bought from Walmart, and I use a white light bulb that I got from either Lowe's or Home Depot. I think you can get that type of bulb from Walmart, but that is what I use, because if I don't use the lamp, then I can barely tell the difference between the design and the actual background that I do not need to weed. For this example, I am using a Bella Canvas 3413 tri-blend t-shirt. You can use 50/50 or you can use a cotton t-shirt with this vinyl. Either one works just fine. I'm going to go ahead and pre-press the shirt to get all the moisture out of the shirt for 5 seconds. We're going to go ahead and move on to placing our design on our t-shirt. I've been doing this for a couple of years now, so I have a imaginary guideline of how I do mine. But anytime I'm unsure, what I do is take my 4 fingers and place them right below the collar of the shirt. Place the design right below my index finger. And that is where I usually place my designs on my t-shirts. Another thing I like to do to make sure my designs are centered is fold a piece of paper in half and then use it as a ruler. In a way, you can just use a ruler, but I just use paper. So you can use that to make sure your design is centered. And another way to make sure your design is in a decent spot on your t-shirt is you can purchase these measurements that they have, pre-measured shirt rulers that they have. They are available on Etsy. I'll post a picture in here somewhere. That process is much quicker, and I will be investing in one myself. Another way to make sure your design is centered is by folding your shirt in half to get the indent in the middle of your shirt and then pressing your design in half. I don't really like to do that because sometimes my vinyl ends up sticking to the sticky side of the design, if that makes any sense. And it becomes frustrating for me. So I don't use that way, but it does work for some people. So that may work for you. You just have to find out which process works best for you. When I'm ready to press my shirt with the design, I go ahead and press medium pressure for 12 to 15 seconds. After the 12 to 15 seconds are up, I go ahead and peel the protective sheet from the bottom left corner, like a medium slow speed, off if it's a quick press vinyl. But if it's a Pro Light vinyl, sometimes the Pro Light, I have to let it cool a little bit first before I peel it off. And then I go ahead and press again for an additional 5 seconds. And then we're done. And now your vinyl t-shirt is complete.